And our next speaker is Rob Sands, our next state auditor.
Folks, Donna has asked all of the rest of the speakers to speak from up here. So if you want to turn your chairs around, if you've been angled towards the end, sorry folks on the picnic table, you're just out of luck. I'm a little bit taller, so maybe some of you can see me out there. And I can't stand under the fan, that's one of our noise issues. My name's Rob Sand. I grew up just up Highway 52 in Decorah. If you want to know, all right, thank you. If you want to know one of the reasons why I'm running for state auditor, just head up 52, go to the east end of town, close to the Wapsie Produce Factory. That's where I had my first job catching chickens. I also was and still am a hunter and a fisher. But one of the other things that I did in high school, because you can do everything when you grow up in a small town, was I was a skateboarder. And we actually I spent my senior and my junior year in high school, 2 years, getting a skate park built in my hometown. It really opened my eyes. Prior to that time, I was planning on being a computer science major, and after that time I knew I wanted to do something oriented towards public service. For a long time I thought that was going to be teaching, and then a couple things happened along the way, so I did what people do when they run out of good ideas. I went to law school. That brings me to the second reason I'm running for state auditor, and that is the work that I've been doing in the Attorney General's office over the last decade. I have prosecuted more public corruption and more major financial crime in Iowa than anyone else in that time period. If you remember the Iowa Film Office tax credit scandal, okay, I prosecuted every one of those criminal cases. You remember the guy that rigged all those lottery jackpots? Yeah. I'm the guy that caught him. 8 years in Tom Miller's office. Tom Miller was a great guy to work for. Very public service oriented, had a good staff, Democrats and Republicans working underneath him. But I hit the point in my job where I felt like I wanted to leave. It wasn't because of the people I was working with. It was fundamentally that I wasn't necessarily the best fit for the work I was doing. Criminal prosecution, folks, is dark. You do not have good days as a criminal prosecutor. You just have days that are less bad or less sad. One of the good days I can have in my work is if I'm getting somebody sent to prison for embezzling $160,000. That's the right result. That's what ought to happen when you steal that kind of money. But if they got an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old at home, you're not clicking your heels when you leave the courthouse. One of the cases I prosecuted was a Ponzi scheme in Cedar Rapids, where we had a gentleman by the name of Noah who defrauded over 40 investors in his investment fund. Most of them he met through his church, including a man named Leonard. Leonard had been a bus driver his entire life. That was his profession. He did it for decades. He was proud of it. He did such a good job that he had actually socked away tens of thousands of dollars as a bus driver. Good for him. Responsibly handling his finances. But he wanted to turn that into a college fund for his grandkids. So he brought it to the man that he knew from his church to know how to handle money. That was Noah. Leonard lost every penny, ladies and gentlemen. Every single penny. And it's supposed to be a good day in court when we bring in Noah at his sentencing. And Leonard can't give his own victim impact statement because he knows he can't keep it together. And so his daughter does it for him. And what his daughter says, in her father's voice, is, I worked so hard my entire life to do everything I could do to live my life the right way. And here at the end of it, I find myself unable to buy Christmas presents for my own grandchildren. And that, folks, is supposed to be a good day in the office because Noah's going to prison. It's dark work. Doesn't make you happy. But I still have this light. I still have this memory of this skate park project that I did in high school, where we really did something positive, right? That we took an empty spot in a park that had nothing on it, and we put something there that was useful and that was good for our community. And it changed our community. My cousins got to grow up skating on it. My two best friends from high school, who still live in Decorah, auto body mechanics now, they skate on it regularly. And I thought, well, maybe I need to find something else I can do, something more like that, where I can not just mitigate bad things, but actually make things better out there. And so I thought about what I knew. Well, one of the things I knew was working with the state auditor's office. You see, they do all of Iowa's public corruption investigations, and I had been doing the vast majority of Iowa's public corruption prosecutions. So they're doing step one, and then handed the baton to me for step two. And for years, regularly in those cases, I was looking at them thinking, why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Looking at the decisions they made and thinking that should have been done differently. Come to find out, everybody in that office is a CPA or an accountant. Now, Arlene, no, there's no offense intended there. CPAs are great, okay? But here's what I'm saying. CPAs are not worse than lawyers, but CPAs and lawyers together are better than either of them on their own. Thank you. And that's what we need in that office. We need people who are working together as a team. With only CPAs and accountants in the office, that's like a football team with 11 quarterbacks playing on offense all at the same time. How many games are you going to win that way? Not very many. So if we can change that, I thought, well, that'd be me doing something good for my state. Wonder what else they do over there in that office. So I sat down and did my homework. I read Chapter 11 of the Iowa Code 3 times so that you don't have to, okay? Let me tell you what's in it. Here's one thing that was important. This is something I saw that was very exciting to me. Every time they do an audit, and they audit Jackson County every single year, and they audit Maquoketa every single year, they can provide efficiency recommendations to those local entities to help them operate more efficiently. Because they're fueled off of what? Our money, right? All that taxpayer money is our money. And it's a little bit of our sweat, and it's a little bit of our pain, it's a little bit of our get up and go every day. And they ought to be making sure that they use it as responsibly as possible. They use it as efficiently as possible. The state auditor is supposed to be a partner to local and county government to make sure they're doing that. But guess what? They're not. They don't do it. They almost categorically do not make these recommendations. So there's something that looks to me like an unbuilt skate park. What a nice opportunity to do something better for our state. It's taking something that isn't really there and making it be there, and making an impact that benefits everybody. Democrat, Republican, Independent, no matter what. The more we can get government to do with less, the happier everybody's going to be, right? It's always better to get more for less. And I dug a little bit further and I saw what everyone else saw, just by reading the headlines last year. Our state is in bad shape financially. If you haven't noticed, every 3 months we had budget cuts last year. And by the time we got to the end of the fiscal year, we borrowed over $100 million to get through the end of it. Yet at the end of that, our state auditor looked backwards and said, this budget, despite being cut every 3 months, was stable. And this budget, despite borrowing $100 million to get to the end of the fiscal year, was balanced and responsible. That's not true. And we need to have somebody in that office who's not afraid to tell Iowans the truth, no matter which party they belong to. I'm proud of the fact that at the Attorney General's office I prosecuted both Republicans and Democrats, and I treated them the same. What a revolutionary idea. Congressman Swalwell, don't you think D.C. would operate a little bit better if Republicans treated their leadership the same way they treat the Democratic parties? Yeah, we could use that. I think so. I'm happy about the fact that I did that at the AG's office. I want to do it at the auditor's office because Iowans deserve the truth. It doesn't matter what it is, because then when we have the truth, we can talk about what to do with it. Our campaign is going incredibly well. We launched in November. In just 7 weeks, we raised more money than anyone has ever raised for a state auditor's race in Iowa in any entire election cycle. 7 weeks. Since then, we have raised 3 times that amount of money, and we have done it with 3 times as many contributors as anybody's ever had. And we have done it, Joe, with no PAC money. That's something our opponent can't say. I'm proud of that, although I'll also say, again, Joe, I think you'll appreciate this, it's stupid that when we talk about how well our campaigns are going, we talk about how much money we're raising, right? It's not the way the system is supposed to work. Nonetheless, that's the way it's working right now, and I'm just a guy running for state auditor, so here we go. We got to change that someday, but right now, I would love to have your help, and the 3 things I want to ask you all to do. Number 1, I already handed these to most of you before we started speaking tonight. Put that bumper sticker on your car, all right? Nobody in Iowa knows who I am, all right? My mom and my dad do. A bunch of people up in Decorah do. You all do. Hopefully you'll remember tomorrow. Who was that guy running for state auditor? He looked like he was 12. Rob Sand, all right? But the more of those bumper stickers that go on cars, the more people in Northeast Iowa are going to say, Rob Sand, oh yeah, I remember that name. People up here must like him. I've seen his bumper stickers around. I'll vote for him. Yard signs, we got a lot of them. Plant them in your yard. The more people see those, that helps too. I think it makes a big difference. The other thing I want to ask you to do, one more thing. I want everybody to start ignoring me, pull out your smartphone, and go on Facebook and like Rob Sand. Please. This is one of the few opportunities you'll ever have to make somebody happy by staring at your screen instead of looking at them. I really am asking you to do this, all right? Because if you do that, that's about the only form of free advertising we can get. If you like my page and you share it, then your friends will see that you shared it. And if you type a little something in there before you share it, hey, I saw this guy, he was right here in Jackson County, he's got his head screwed on straight, so I think we ought to vote for him. That helps. It makes a difference. And the other thing I want to ask you to do, the last thing, work this fall. All right? If you don't think you're a door knocker, this is your summer of personal growth. I know you've got it in you. I know you can do it. I believe in you, all right? In fact, let me tell you something. If you don't think you're a door knocker, you are actually our secret weapon. Because how much would it mean to you if somebody knocked on your door and said, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I've never done this before, but I'm just so worried about the direction our state and our country is going in that I'm out here knocking on people's doors today to talk to them and see what they think about it. Isn't that going to hit you?
Yeah.
So if you're not a door knocker, go be a door knocker. And help us elect Deidre DeGere, Secretary of State. Help us re-elect Todd Bowman, the state senator. Help us re-elect Joe. Elect Joe to the House. Abby, where's Abby? Help us make Abby Finkenauer Iowa's next Congresswoman. Iowa's first Congresswoman. And if you do that, then, oh, and where'd Rita go? Rita Hart. Hubble and Hart. Let's make sure that they get into the governor's mansion, all right? And if we all do that, if we all do that work, if we all go knock those doors, we make those phone calls. Tom Vilsack, ladies and gentlemen, saying this is the most important election in 40 years. You know, that means something because he's counting his 2 runs for governors in that 40 years. We cannot sit on our duffs this year, all right? Please get out and work hard for everybody. I'm going to be doing it. If we all do it, we're going to be in great shape. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rob. Yes. That's a message that we all need to be hearing and taking to heart. I've been saying that at meetings for months. Step out of your comfort zone. And I've said over and over, I'm not really comfortable on the phones, but I've been out there doing it, and I'm hoping you all will get out there and do it as well. We need to do it to elect Democrats for this cycle. Thank you.